In this lesson, we're going to be talking about negative keywords. Okay, so negative keywords are equally or even more so important than the keywords that you're bidding on. So when you put in negative keywords, what you're doing is telling Google, hey, if anybody puts these words or search terms into the search bar, I do not want my ad to show. Okay, so this is how you weed out a lot of irrelevant and not qualified traffic. I'm going to take you through the different match types. Just like keywords, there's 3 different match types and they mean different things. So it's really important that you know the difference. So let's get started. This is a very, very important lesson, and we're going to be going over negative keywords. As I've mentioned before, negative keywords are probably more important than the actual keywords that you're bidding on. Okay? So just like keywords having 3 different match types, negatives have the same match types. And we're going to go through a bunch of different examples so you have a better understanding of these. Okay? So we're going to start with broad match, and it's just like the keyword broad match. It has no punctuation or any parameters around it. It's just roofing supplies. The next one is the phrase match. Same thing. You have the little quotations. And then you have the negative match, which is the little brackets. Okay? So that's how you tell Google what kind of a negative keyword match you want. Okay, so let's start and let's pretend we are a roofing service company. Okay? And we're going through our search terms and we see somebody put in roofing supplies. And we say, hey, I don't want roofing supplies in there. So let's make roofing supplies a broad negative keyword. So it's important to see or to understand how Google looks at these. So if you look here, I wrote it out. Searches that contain all the terms you've selected. So all is super important, regardless of the order. Okay, so what you're telling Google in this one is, if it has the word roofing and has the word supplies, I don't want to show. Okay, so you're not going to show up for roofing supplies near me. You're not going to show up for companies that sell roofing supplies. You're not going to show up for supplies for printing roofing business cards because you have supplies in here and you have roofing. Okay, so all 3 of these have both of those keywords in it. Now, in the next column right here, you're going to see that you can show up for these, though. Okay, so roofing supplies near me. So if you see what I did there, and you're going to notice this, there are a lot of people out there that they're not very good at spelling. I can't spell very well either. So if somebody puts in a misspelling, you still show up. Okay? The next one would be roofing supply. So instead of putting supplies, they put the word supply in there. So you're still going to show. Supplies for roofers. So instead of roofing, they put roofers in there. And then the next one is a list of supplies for landscapers. Okay, so you still are showing up for irrelevant terms that have the word supplies in there. Okay, so we want to be really careful. And when you see something like this, when you're putting in supplies, make sure you put in all the different kinds of variations of that, okay? So it could be supply, it could be S-U-P-L-Y, to get all the misspellings in there, singular, plural, you want to get all the variations in there, okay? I would say right off the bat, this is not a good negative keyword because roofing, you want to keep that in there. Like you don't want to have the term roofing as a broad match negative. So usually broad match, you have to be really certain if you're going to use 2 different words. Usually the best way to go is with singular. And I'll show you as we go. I'll give you some more examples, okay? So let's go into the negative phrase match. So what Google says is you won't show if the search contains the exact keyword terms in the same order, okay? So if you do a phrase match with the parentheses and the negative keywords, you're saying, hey, Google, if you see the words roofing supplies next to each other, I don't want it. So you're not going to show up for roofing supplies near me. You're not going to show up for roofing. Where can I buy roofing supplies? You're not going to show up for list of roofing supplies every roofer needs, okay? Now, what you still are going to show for is, again, the singular version, roofing supply stores, Austin, Texas. Supplies for, instead of roofing, they put roofers. And then the next one is list of supplies for landscapers, because it still has supplies in there. And you're telling Google it has to have both of these in this order right here, okay? So that's how the phrase match will work. Now, if we go down to the exact match, you're going to see your ad won't show if the search contains the exact keyword terms in the same order without extra words, okay? So that's important. So if you don't want to show up for roofing supplies, you're not going to, if somebody just puts in roofing supplies, you will not show. But that's really not going to help you, because you're still going to show up for roofing supplies near me. You're still going to show for roofing supply stores. You're still going to show for supplies for roofers, all these different ones, okay? So let's go down and let's give you some examples on maybe some of the better way to do it. So again, we're going to go down. We're in this column now. Let me erase that. Okay, so now this time we're going to say, instead of doing roofing supplies, we're just going to put in supplies. So anything that has the word supplies, I don't want to show for. So you're not going to show up for any of these. But again, you're going to still show up for supply. So you want singular, plural versions, misspellings. Those are all the different types of key negatives that you're going to want to put in there, okay? We go down to phrase match. If we did supply store, you're not going to show up for roofing supply store, contractor supply store, anything with supply store you're not going to show up for. But again, we're in your ad could show for roofing supply stores. So that's the plural version. You got to get that one out of there. Supplies for roofers, you're still going to show, because that's the plural version here. And then list of supplies for landscapers, you're still going to show up for it. But you're not going to show up for it over here if you have supplies in broad match. Now, moving down to exact match, same thing, supply store. You're not going to show up for supply store. You're going to show up for all these other ones, because you can still have something before or after it, okay? Roofing supply store near me, you're still going to show up for a contractor supply store near me, all of those things. So go through all your keyword tools and make sure you weed out all of these negatives.